There's Beric Dondarrion. There's the Hound. There's Jaime Lannister. There's Jorah Mormont. And damn, who was the fifth one I was just thinking about? Hold on. There's Beric Dondarrion, Jorah Mormont, Jaime Lannister, the Hound, and the fifth knight is oh shit, who the hell else? Alright, anyway, so there's knights in this I'm sorry, there's knights in this episode. So alright, what's the significance of them? Well, knights are very significant in the Seven Kingdoms and stuff. Most of the knights are not traditional knights that you may have thought about growing up or anything. They're not all filled with honor and valor and going around, saving people from ne'er-do-wells and all that stuff. Most of the knights in this show are pretty corrupt. One of the first knights we've seen in this show pushed a kid out of a window in the first fucking episode. Jaime Lannister is indeed a knight, and he pushed a motherfucker straight out of a window. The Hound. We don't have time to get into all the things that the Hound has done. However, yes, he has been on a road of redemption, and he did redeem himself, but not what you think about when you hear the words knight in a fantasy show. So, what's the significance of naming it Knight in the Seven Kingdoms? Well, you've all seen the episode by this point, and we've all seen one of the most beautiful moments ever. Tormund Giantsbane brings it in after he's talking about Giant's breast milk, and he brings up, he's like, wait a minute, Brienne of Tarth, you're not a knight? And she's like, no, I'm not a knight. And he's like, why the hell not? She's like, well, it's tradition. And he's like, well, fuck tradition. Which is one of the most redeeming factors of a group of people in this show that have been shown to be nothing but savages. The Wildlings, or the Free Folk, have been one of the most progressive societies shown in all of the Game of Thrones universe. Men and women are seen as equal. Both men and women fight in wars. All men and women both hunt. Men and women run their own households and stuff. There are very little gender roles in wildland society that separates the genders, making them unequal to each other. It's a very egalitarian society, which is a very good thing. Actually, how wildlings find their mates, and this is in the books, this is on the DVD extras and everything. How a wildling finds the person that they're gonna marry or whatever is that a woman tries to slit a man's throat, and if he doesn't let her, then they're together. That sounds violent as fuck, but trust me, I'm like, wow, that's alright. It's kind of cool when you stop and think about it. She tries to kill him, and if he does not let her kill him, they are gonna be together. Alright. Cool, that works. But and then Tormund says, he's like, well, if I were king, I would make you a knight. He doesn't say exactly that. He made some sexual innuendo in it, but, the message was there. Then Jaime says something, and then I caught this as soon as, he said it, because I watched this on HBO Go. I watched it the day of, and the day of the episode, they do not put, for whatever reason, HBO Go on PlayStation does not name the episode until, hours after. So all I saw was episode 69. I laughed a little bit because I'm immature like that. Jaime was like, and then I also knew this from books too, that you don't need a king to make a knight in Westeros. All you need is another knight. A knight can make a knight. So he tells Brienne of Tarth, he's like, look, if you wanna be a knight, get over here, kneel down, and you will rise up a knight. And he makes her a knight of the Seven Kingdoms. And the knight's oath, I wish I would, I think I memorize it. And he said, by the warrior, I charge you with bravery. By the father, I charge you with justice. By the mother, I charge you with mercy. I think that's it. And that is one of the most beautiful quotes. That's one of the most beautiful ways to make someone a knight. And it was a beautiful scene because it wrapped up Brienne of Tarth's story arc, because she was this woman who felt out of place in a woman's role, but she wanted to fight. All she wanted to do was fight and serve. She wanted to serve Renly, and she served Catelyn Stark. Then she fulfilled her oath with that, and she has a squire in Podrick, and she's basically wanted that validation that who she is something great. And Brienne of Tarth is one of the best characters in the show. Her character arc was done beautifully. They made some changes from the books. Read the books. They're kind of gruesome, but they've made some changes to her character and stuff. But at the same time, like in the show, her storyline ended with this episode. Like her storyline, of course, she's in the battle in the future episodes and stuff, but her storylines ended, which gets me to my theories. Now, my theories, I have a couple things about who is gonna die in the next episode, because there's a battle coming, and it would be absolutely fucking ridiculous to think in this show in particular, and in any show, that there will be a huge battle going on with at least 100,000 dead people marching, that everybody that we like is gonna live. This isn't Saved by the Bell. Some people that we are attached to are gonna die this coming Sunday. So who do I think is gonna die? Who do I think is gonna die in this episode? Well, I have a couple theories. The first of which is Grey Worm. Grey Worm is gonna die. I'm sorry. Grey Worm from the Unsullied, he is gonna meet his penis in heaven. He is gonna die. I'm sorry. Why do I say that Grey Worm is gonna die? Well, in entertainment, in TV, in movies, whenever a black dude starts to talk about starting a better life and getting out of a bad situation and getting out of the hood and all that stuff, he dies. He typically dies soon after that. Usually it's like, hey, like in Menace to Society, hey man, me and Jada Pinkett, we gonna get out of the hood. Next thing you see is drive-by shooting, he gets shot. In Boys in the Hood, Ricky is scratching lottery tickets while they about to get a fucking, while they're running from people from a drive-by who was at the car rally and shit, about popping shit already. He died. He was about to go to college. Grey Worm, talking to my Sunday, he's like, look, man, fuck these racist Winterfell people. We going to the beach after this. Grey Worm ain't gonna make it to that beach, y'all. I'm sorry. He's just not. Second, Brienne of Tarth is about to die. Like I said, Brienne of Tarth's storyline is ended. She is in danger. She is in her storyline had a satisfying end, and there's just too many characters in this show to figure out how this is all gonna work out. I think she eats it in this next episode, you guys. I really do. Another one, if you follow me on Facebook, which you should, my links are in the show notes. I'm gonna change one. I'm going to change one because this one makes more sense to me as more that I read this episode, but more that I watch this episode and the more that I watch previous episodes before as well. But Beric Dondarrion is also gonna die. Beric Dondarrion, he is the leader of the Brotherhood Without Banners, and he is the one with the flaming sword. He's been brought back to life at least 7 times by the Lord of Light. And the priest who brings him back is dead. Thoros of Myr is dead, so he's not coming back unless the Hound decides to become holy and brings him back, which would be amazing. However, Beric Dondarrion has stated that this may be his last battle. Now, the caveat from that is that when the Hound, who's going to be close by Beric Dondarrion when he dies, is going to get over his fear of fire and pick up that flaming fucking sword, because that's what he's going to use to kill his brother, who is basically a fucking White Walker himself. He's basically a zombie in a fucking suit of armor, and fucking the Hound is gonna take care of that shit with that flaming fucking sword. He's gonna get over that fear of fire and do some work. Telling you. Who else is gonna die? I'm gonna amend this. He's not gonna die yet, but something's gonna happen with Bran. Something's gonna happen with Bran, and something's gonna go wrong when and if the Night King gets up to Bran. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm gonna say, because my original thought was Bran was gonna die, and then in his last moment, he transferred his powers over to Theon, who's basically the closest person to him, and then Theon becomes a new three-eyed raven, because it makes sense for Theon to become a three-eyed raven, because, you know, it's not like, now I see that they're trying to make a romance between Theon and Sansa, which is stated in the books. Ned wanted Sansa to marry Theon to secure a peace between the North and the Iron Islands. This is early on in the books, and I really don't see that happening, even though Sansa and Theon makes perfect sense, because they survived a lot of shit together. You know, both of them survived a lot of abuse, a lot of torture, and you kind of want somebody to talk to about their each other's support base without having to talk about the shit. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen, and I kind of think that the Night King is gonna die in this episode. Why do I say that? Because we're at episode 3 this week on a 6-episode series, and they gotta get back down to King's Landing somehow. And I think Jamie said it best. Man, they get up there, they fight and they win, they come back down and they kill us all. I think that's how that's going to happen. But yeah, it's going to be really good to see what happens. Maybe none of this happens. You know? Friend of mine, Eric Barnes, shout out to Eric, sent me something that blew my fucking mind the other day. He just said, well, what if the Night King basically pulls a Robb Stark from season 1, sends down part of his army down to Winterfell, and then he takes his ice dragon and goes all the way down to King's fucking Landing, and then comes back up with all the dead people that he got from there. That's scary as hell when you stop and think about that shit. Because why would the Night King have to rush? He's already marked Bran. He already knows where Bran is at all times. So why does he have to rush to go get him? He could buy this time and build his army up even bigger. He can go take over other spots and box them in. It's crazy when you think like that. And that makes for a real exciting fucking thing, because shit, they don't know what his strategy is. The only problem with that theory that the Night King flies further south is that the last time that the White Walkers came, King's Landing wasn't a place. You know, in the timeline of Game of Thrones, the last time that they came down, King's Landing was not a place. Aegon hadn't conquered the 7 kingdoms at this point. It was thousands of years before all of that happened. So, you know, maybe that's not the case. That he just flies south and just hopes to hit a city or anything like that. He's not all knowing like that. Or do we know that or not? You know, do we know that? I have no idea. But yeah. But those are some theories popping around. So, we all just have to wait and see come this Sunday and check it all out. So, I want to thank you guys again for listening to the show, sharing it with your friends. This is a short episode. Next week, I hope to have a guest on to talk about the episode that's coming up. This is a long episode. It's an 80-minute episode next week. So we got to check. The next 2 episodes are both 80 minutes long, and Cersei has still not gotten her elephants yet. So we're going to check all those out. So you guys, we're going to be watching this shit. Remote wine.